Hey there, and welcome back to the Gubba podcast. I'm Gubba, a first-time homesteader following in the footsteps of my homesteading forebears. And on this podcast, we discuss everything prepping, homesteading, and everything in between, like food storage, pickling. And this week, I want to give you guys a homestead update along my journey out here on the homestead and discuss some things I've learned on my homestead journey, the ups, the downs, and well, everything in between. It is the end of June and summer is almost here. There have been some cold spells and a lot of rain, but the sun is finally starting to peek through and the temperatures are finally starting to rise a little. The pace of life on the homestead is picking up as everything is coming to life and more projects emerge out of the blue. And it's so interesting to see how things come to life as the sun emerges. Like me, I come to life as the sun emerges. I feel more active. The bees buzz at full speed, gathering pollen from various sources. My chickens are happily foraging out in their little chicken run, and the grass is growing tall for my cow to eat, like literally as tall as me. I go into the grass field and I feel like I'm in a maze and I'm never going to get out because the grass is so stinking tall. And I've ran into a few problems so far on the homestead, with my recent one being fencing for my cow. In my other podcast, I discussed cows versus goats as a milk animal, and I told y'all I decided to go with a cow, with one of the main reasons being I already had fencing in place. I was like, yes, I got that cow fencing already. And okay, I did have fencing, but I did not account for the other cows that are back in the far end of my property, like back where my milk cow is. I allow another farmer to graze their cattle in my pastures because I have so much grass. And last year he did the same thing and the cows were so sweet and nice. So I was expecting the same thing. But this year he brought on steers, which are young castrated male cows. And, I'm like, okay, is this going to be something a little different? I had no clue. They started escaping the fencing even before I got my cow. Like I went out and the steers were out everywhere. They weren't really causing all hell to break loose. And then they stopped getting out. I called the farmer. He fixed the problem. Then I got my cow and all hell literally broke loose. I woke up one morning to go milk my cow. We were on a twice a day milking schedule. So this is like 5 a.m. And the fencing I had set up for my cow was completely destroyed. Completely. Like, I am not exaggerating. It was just like they stampeded on through there and it was a disaster. I had 3 strings of hot wire running on both sides of this corridor I have from the field to the barn where my dairy cow hangs out, and the whole thing was torn down and destroyed. I knew it wasn't my dairy cow that did that because she had been in there. She was peaceful, doing her thing. But then I saw the other cows like it start to get out of one string of their fencing, and there was like a backup fence in case they got out of that. And so I'm like, okay, like they have the backup fence, like we're good. I'll let the farmer know, but he was out of town. But when I realized that these young steers were out that morning, it was like the whole herd of 20 were out that morning. They completely destroyed and trampled all of the fencing that I had. And like, it was so knotted up. Like I literally couldn't even get all the knots out of the wiring. And I was so disappointed because I took so long setting up that fencing, but I think they just all charged through it at night. And wow, it was just so insane. And what was worse is that now my cow was out with them and did not want to come back. Like cows are herd animals. And so she was having fun. I don't know. I tried to herd them back with my utility vehicle to no avail. They weren't having it. I tried to spray her back to the barn with a spray bottle because I kind of like herd her around with a spray bottle. Did not work. I tried to lead her with grain. Did not work because the other cows were like, ooh, like I want some some grain and I was like, get away. I was not happy. I was so frustrated. Then they meandered over to my garden, destroyed a fruit tree, like they literally toppled it, trampled some of my garden, toppled all of my rhubarb. But you know what? My bees were right there. They're right there in the middle of my garden. And it was 100% a miracle that the cows, the steers, this little herd of rebellious cows didn't destroy my bees too in the midst of the chaos. Like they literally took a thing that I had in my garden for the peas and beans to grow on. So this metal thing for them to vine up on, they took it out, like threw it across the garden. I don't know what was going on. And I think God honestly just knew that what I could handle, and I was already at the top of my cup. And so he didn't have them touch the bees because I would have absolutely lost it because of how destructive they were. I still cannot believe that they did not destroy my bees. I ended up chasing these cows around, mainly just my cow. I was chasing her around to get her back, and I chased them around the perimeter. I fell in a puddle and finally got my cow back into the barn after a huge nightmare. Seriously, I've been waking up in the middle of the night thinking the cows are getting out, and I've been dreaming about it, and I've woken up in a panic about it. It was so traumatic. It's been affecting my sleep. I can laugh about it now, but what the heck? I'm literally waking up in the middle of the night oh my gosh, the cows are out. I gotta go get the cows. And seriously, I was not laughing a while ago, but it's kind of humorous now. I literally am dreaming about nightmare cows getting out of their fencing. I told the farmer how they were extremely destructive, and they came to fix the fencing, and it turns out that his fence battery died. So it's no wonder that they stampeded the whole entire place and just went on a huge roam about. And then there was one time they almost got out of my perimeter fencing, so I was chasing them so they didn't go on the road. I don't know what I would have done, but it was so stressful. They went into where my cow hangs out. They flew around all of her buckets. They ate all of her mineral, and literally my fight or flight kicks in every time now I see them outside of the fencing due to that chaotic morning. And so after this morning, I decided that I needed to go to once a day milking for my cow. So I went out there originally to milk her. She was out. It took me hours to get her back. And as she was running, I'm not even kidding, milk was flying from her udders as she was running. And you need to milk out your cow or else they will get mastitis. And so I was okay, I can't do this. I just need to do once a day with her. And she had gotten out of the fencing a few more times due to the other cows knocking hers down. But nothing as traumatic as that. I decided to finally just take her down to once a day milking and to save my sanity. And I also had a massive surplus of milk. She's doing great with once a day milking, which I do in the mornings. I wake up early, I go milk her. It's a great routine. I even streamed it once on my Twitch channel. It was so much fun to show everybody that. And if you didn't know, if you don't milk your cow, they have a chance of getting mastitis, which can be a gnarly infection in the udder because milk was in there that needed to be emptied but didn't get emptied. So all the bacteria goes in and multiplies, and it's just horrible. I don't want any of my animals to go through anything like that. So I use an iodine tip after every time I milk her to keep that area clean. I'm really clean with her. I clean her off. I use gloves. I do my best to make sure she does not get mastitis. And so far, so good. The dairy farmer I got her from said that now would be a great time to take her to once a day milking because she'll be having a baby soon in September. So that means I will stop milking her completely the end of July because she needs time for her body to recuperate before she has the baby. Everything else on the homestead is more relaxed compared to that scenario though. I can't believe I thought goats were escape artists and that cows were not. I do believe having the younger steers was a large part of the problem. I had heard horror stories about bulls being destructive and taking down fences, but oh my gosh, these are teenage cows and it was a nightmare. I don't think I want them back ever again. I will take cows, which are just kind, female, older cows, because they're just calm, doing their thing. But oh my gosh, the teenager cows, No, thank you. Another problem, though, that I am facing is an abundance of milk. Imagine that, like having too much milk being a problem. And it's not really a problem. It's that I'm happy to have this problem. So I've been getting crafty with how I use all of my cow's milk. I literally thought before I got my cow that I would be able to drink a good chunk of the milk. Man, was I silly. I was thinking I wouldn't have to deal with her getting out and that I could drink a lot of her milk. Well, I can't drink a ton of her milk to keep up with her production, so my chickens have been getting extremely spoiled because I make them ricotta cheese regularly and give them the whey water to drink from the cheese. They absolutely love it and go crazy for it. I've also been freeze drying my raw milk, and soon I won't be able to freeze dry because it will get hot and I can't deal with my house heating up, so I will have to find an alternative for milk use. I love the freeze dried milk though because it tastes like cheese and it reconstitutes back into milk like incredibly easy. A majority of the nutrients are maintained in the process as well. I actually have the freeze dryer going like at this moment for a batch of milk, and it is taking way longer than expected because of the temperature outside. It's hot, so that means my house is hot. A batch of freeze dried milk takes about 24 hours from start to finish. Well, I am at 24 hours and it probably has like another 12 or so to go because of the hot temperatures. It actually has a pop-up that says hot room temperature. Batch time may take longer because I don't have air conditioning. There is nothing I can do about that. And also, it's like perpetuating this thing because I have the freeze dryer going. It's making my house hot and it's taking longer because the house is hot. So it's just like this cycle. And I'm like, oh man, what was I thinking? But yeah, I don't have air conditioning. You know, it's this farmhouse. I'm going to look into like a window conditioner or something. I also use the milk to make kefir, which is so dang delicious. Kefir is fermented milk, which is so beneficial for your gut biome. And I love doing it with raw milk because, wow, talk about a powerhouse of a health food item. Besides the abundance of milk, another problem I'm running into is landscaping and maintaining my yard. I did not realize that maintaining my yard and the chicken run would be so much work. I'm happy I bought a riding lawnmower from the previous owners because I would probably die out there if I was using a push mower. I have a little chunk of acreage that I maintain as a yard, so I go and cut the grass short, and the grass grows so fast. I'm out mowing and weed whacking weekly. Even with the nice equipment I have, it's still like a day project, like a whole project out there. I'm not even accounting for the sprawling fields of grass that I have. I have trees in the field too that I need to get out there and peel the grass away from the base of the trees so the trees can have a chance to grow and not be bombarded by grass. Grass loves nitrogen, and so it depletes the trees of it. So upon my research, I realized there is a field lawnmower that is like 2,000 plus that I hook up to the behind of my utility vehicle and pull it, and it mows the fields. It's a tow behind, but having long grass is not great also because there's like skunks that get in there and the mice run rampant. And I've kind of put this problem off until next year because I'm kind of just going through the process right now, seeing what it's like, just a full summer of what I'm facing. And my garden has also a little bit become weed central in the boxes that I'm not using for raspberries, blackberries, garlic. There's just a box that I just didn't get to go weed. I didn't have a plan for it. And so I noticed like it is just overcome with grass and weeds. Like I'm constantly fighting back the grass and weeds. Like it's a full-on battlefield out here. And one cow is not enough to eat all this grass. And even the herd of cows in the back is not enough to eat all the grass. I genuinely debated if I should get sheep so they can eat the grass. Another option is to bale the grass into hay, but I don't have the equipment, and that's just another investment. Maybe later on down the road I'll do hay with it, but I can't imagine like my time being stretched and able to accommodate a task like that. So I just don't know. And I went out to my garden last night and tried pulling some weeds, but even the grass is like as tall as me in some of the beds that I didn't have a plan for and I didn't get to already. So it's good for me to know because next year, like I got to get out there early. When I have a full-on plan for my garden, I got to get out there and weed and take out all the grass. But last night I was super excited because I found some greens I had planted out there earlier this spring, and then I forgot about them due to the weather that was around. It was cold, snow, all that. I plucked all the weeds around them so they had some space to grow. I was just so excited to see like these seeds that I had planted were growing, and I'm excited to see what they'll turn into. Most likely they will turn into my chicken snack. I'm always giving my chickens snacks. They are so spoiled. And speaking of chickens, I brought in 5 new chickens into the original 10 that I had, and that was kind of a mess within itself. The original 10 chickens were not very welcoming or nice to the new chickens. They were attacking them. They were guarding the food, the water, and it took a while, and they still aren't on the best terms, but I was constantly having to manage them and make sure the new chickens were getting food and water. And why can't they all just get along? Like, we're all a big family here on the homestead, you know? But I hope that you enjoyed my homestead journey update and some of the things I have learned along the way and gone through. I hope you can get a laugh, because I can get a laugh now. Can't exactly get a laugh when I'm going through it, but I'm happy to share. And I look forward to keep sharing with you this journey. And thank you so much for listening. And I hope that you have a great day.